Here are 10 albums from German metal bands that you need to check out. I try to find bands that not everyone knows, so there won't be any of those big name bands from Germany. I decided to do some research and try to find some albums that are considered to be great albums by those who are familiar with the band, but at the same time, they might be albums you may have never heard of, given that they never got the same level of recognition as some of the bigger names in the German metal scene. There are a few bands here that I had never heard of, and a few others that I had discovered in the past few years through recent releases. But there are also bands that I discovered, but I never took time to explore the back catalogs. So with that being said, let me get into it. Coming in at number 10 is Iron Savior with Unification, released in 1999. I knew about this band. I had only listened to one of their albums back in 2020 when I first started my channel, but I never did a deep dive into their discography. This one here is supposedly one of the most criminally underrated power metal albums ever. It's a power metal that chooses science fiction over fantasy. The band was founded by Piet Selk, I'm probably mispronouncing that, and also features Kai Hansen from Helloween and Gamma Ray. This album is packed with melodic riffs, soaring vocals, harmonized leads, and storytelling that feels epic without being cheesy. Tracks like Coming Home and Starborn deliver that late 90s European power metal energy, and yet Iron Savior rarely gets mentioned alongside their peers. If you love Helloween, Stratovarius, or Blind Guardian, this is an essential hidden gem. Coming in at number 9 is Dark Millennium with Assure the Celestial Burden, released in 1992. This one's going to be a little darker, as the name suggests. Dark Millennium was a band that was ahead of their times. They came out in the early 90s, and their sound is a mix of death, doom, and progressive metal. They did it in a way that made them stand out. I would say the album can be compared to early albums by Opeth, Death, and even Voivod. Music is dense, atmospheric, and unsettling. The haunting vocals and twisted melodies make this a cult masterpiece that's been rediscovered by fans of avant-garde death metal. Out of all my discoveries, I found this one to be the most unique. But coming up are two bands that released albums not too long ago, but have been around for a long time. Afterwards, there will be a band that has been called the German Iron Maiden, so let me continue. Coming in at number 8 is Rage with Trapped, released in 1992. Here's one of those bands I discovered this year, so I decided to check out one of their classics. This was one of the highest rated albums. Rage is one of those bands with so many albums, even the hardcore fans can't keep track of them, but Trapped stands out as one of their finest moments. It bridges melodic power and thrash with incredible songwriting and emotional weight. Songs like Enough Is Enough and Baby I'm Your Nightmare show just how diverse this band can be. The music is aggressive, it's catchy, and it's heartfelt all at once. Also a cover of Fast as a Shark by Accept. I just discovered this band a few weeks ago when they released a new album, so I decided to check out one of their classics, but they have so many in their catalog, so one day I will check them all out. Coming in at number 7 is Paradox with Heresy, released in 1989. This is another band I discovered this year. I decided to go back to their most well-known album. It's supposedly one of the greatest concept albums in German thrash. Heresy takes you on a historical journey through the Albigensian Crusade, which I'm probably mispronouncing, which is a 20-year conflict that involved the persecution and violence against the Cathars in Languedoc, France. And again, I'm probably mispronouncing all of those words. But anyway, the album has some really tight and melodic thrash. It's ahead of its time. Imagine if Anthrax and Flotsam and Jepsen kind of played, but with like a little bit of power metal. That's what Heresy sounds like. The production still holds up today. The musicianship is next level. Paradox probably should have been a lot bigger, but instead they became one of Germany's best kept secrets. And the Coming in number 6 is Storm Witch with Tales of Terror, released in 1985. Here's a band that I had never heard of, but when I did my research, it came up as a classic album in German metal. This is a band that I was hinting at before, the one called the German Iron Maiden. It's just some traditional heavy metal that's dramatic, melodic, and full of dark fantasy themes. Lyrics talk about medieval castles, vampires, and ancient legends. That the music is filled with catchy riffs. This one's for fans of Merciful Fate or early King Diamond. You can tell these guys are having fun, and their energy still makes the album feel alive and catchy. Now, after this, I have a band that was way ahead of the time. Then after that, a speed metal and power metal album with a sci-fi twist. Coming in number 5 is Depressive Age with First Depression, released in 1992. The name might you think that they are a doom band, but they're actually a progressive thrash group that mixed moody melodies with complex song structures in a way that was way ahead of its time. First Depression balances aggression and introspection. Think something along the lines of Coroner, but with a distinctly melancholic vibe. This one rewards multiple listens. The atmosphere grows in you like a dark emotional fog, a forgotten masterpiece from the early 90s German scene. Coming in at number 4 is Scanner with Terminal Earth, released in 1989. This is another band I only discovered last year when they released an album called The Cosmic Race. I never really paid much attention to them after that. I saw they had a large discography, so I went with one of the higher rated ones. It's the second highest rated album with an 8.1 score on Metal Storm, another power metal band based on science fiction. Album is filled with galloping riffs and soaring vocals. Everything about this album screams the late 80s. The album is crossed between early Queensryche and Gamma Ray. Scanner never really quite broke out internationally, but the album proves they had a talent to stand shoulder to shoulder with the big names. And I'm not done yet, because coming up, I have one of the most beautifully written melodic metal albums ever made. But before that, I have something a little more melodic. And then after that, another album based loosely on an H.P. Lovecraft story. Coming in number 3 is Heaven's Gate with Living in Hysteria, released in 1991. This is one of those bands that should have been huge. The album was released right before the grunge explosion. The album has catchy choruses, big vocals, twin guitar harmonies. It's like a bridge between Helloween and Dokken. Songs like Can't Stop Rockin' and Best Days of My Life are packed with that classic feel-good energy. If you want a reminder of how fun and powerful the early 90s metal was before the scene shifted, this is a good example. Check out this album. Coming in number 2 is Mekong Delta with the music of Eric Zahn, released in 1988. This one's pretty cool. Mekong Delta are one of the most technical and experimental thrash bands ever. The album is based loosely on an H.P. Lovecraft story, full of unpredictable riffs, classic influences, and bizarre time changes. Vocals strangely resemble a cross between Dave Mustaine and Joey Belladonna. That's what the music. Imagine Voivod crossed with early Watchtower, but with a distinctly German precision. I like their adaptation of the music with the shower scene in Psycho as one of the songs, but if you love thrash, that makes me think the music of Eric Zahn will blow your mind. Coming in at number 1 is Angel Dust with Enlighten the Darkness, released in the year 2000. This one has been called one of the most beautifully written melodic metal albums ever made. It's a concept album about World War II. The protagonist is a soldier who has come home from war, and he has these vivid, terrible memories that are hindering his relationship with his wife. As for the band, Angel Dust started out in the 80s as a thrash band, but they eventually moved on to power metal. The album in question, Enlighten the Darkness, is emotional, heavy, full of soaring melodies that genuinely feel heartfelt. Angel Dust perfectly balanced aggression and atmosphere with powerful vocals and stunning guitar work that still sounds modern today. Tracks like Fly Away and Let Me Live are emotional and unforgettable. If there's one hidden German gem you need to hear, make it this one. So that is all. As always, give me more recommendations for more German bands. I'm sure there are plenty of others that I missed. Check out some of the other videos from my Discovering Metal series of other countries. I'll stick them all around here. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please give the video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. I will see you in the next one.